Welcome back to Project 82, the SCP Remote Access Database. Which case file do you require?
Item number SCP-222. Object Class Euclid. This document not for use by personnel below Clearance Level 3. SCP-222 itself requires no special containment. It also cannot be moved. The site is guarded by SCP Foundation personnel, as well as a rotating mix of US, Italian, and NATO soldiers, none of whom are aware of its significance. Foundation personnel travel to and from the site very often, and their true numbers are carefully hidden from the soldiers, and usually from personnel below Clearance Level 3. SCP-222 designates an area of tunnels in the Dolomites Mountains near Aviano, Italy. The site is close to the Church of St. Gregory, and Aviano Air Force Base is also nearby. The tunnels are filled with carved stone coffins. One coffin in particular has unusual properties, and some portion of the tunnels is also involved. The carvings in the tunnels appear very old and of very good workmanship. History. After 1948, U.S. operatives in Italy participating in Operation Gladio began receiving word of unusual activities at the site. In 1954, Aviano Air Force Base was turned over to NATO. On February 22, 1955, Foundation operatives found a series of tunnels carved into the mountains. They appeared to be catacombs, tunnels for storing the dead. Archaeological research into their construction has yielded contradictory results. See SCP-222-7-9. The tunnels were being used as a hideout by a terrorist cult. All members of the cult were killed or taken into custody. Operation details filed in SCP-222-1-5. The cult appeared to be less mentally stable than most such organizations, but otherwise unremarkable. However, details turned up during the operation prompted further investigation. Once the nature and the abilities of the site were determined, it became one of the most used and visited objects under Foundation care. Function. As previously stated, one, and only one, coffin in the tunnels has unusual properties. See SCP-222-6 for summation of all tests done to date and clarification of items below. If a living person is placed into the coffin and it is closed, the following sequence of events occurs. Within 15 minutes, the occupant falls asleep. The occupant will fall asleep under any circumstances, such as, but not limited to, being in the middle of a claustrophobic fit, or being given amounts of caffeine and amphetamines close to causing an overdose. The occupant sleeps for 1 to 2 hours. Opening the coffin during this time usually results in the death of the occupant and no further results. The occupant wakes up feeling well rested. The occupant will not fall asleep until the coffin is opened again. The possibility of sleep deprivation research has been advanced but not yet implemented. Within 24 hours, a person will be found within the tunnels who is a duplicate or clone of the occupant. No attempts to find the origin of the clone within the tunnels has ever been successful. The clone invariably finds its way to the coffin, though it usually appears to be wandering aimlessly. Clones created by the coffin appear in all physical respects to be identical to their originals, though dressed in tattered rags of unknown origin. Man-made objects are not duplicated. The cloning process is not recommended for occupants with tooth fillings or pacemakers. Clones appear to possess the same lifespan and medical conditions as their originals. The most unusual aspect of a clone is its mind. Clones appear to be victims of global retrograde amnesia. Languages are retained, along with most physical skills. While clones cannot remember any people or events, they appear to retain their ethical beliefs and loyalties, and thus can usually be quickly reindoctrinated into Foundation personnel. Security procedures must be retrained, but combat and weapon skills are preserved. Some clones demonstrate retention of computer and interrogation skills as well. Many Foundation personnel have been cloned with SCP-222, providing a loyal workforce for Foundation initiatives. It is one of our most obviously useful items. Addendum. Document SCP-222-12. Indoctrination issues. Lieutenant Clone was brought to a mock-up KGB indoctrination center where he was brainwashed into becoming a KGB spy. He was a native of the USSR, so this was considered a useful test of a clone's abilities. The clone eventually rebelled against the brainwashing and was prepared to die rather than submit. At that point, the training exercise was ended and he was welcomed as a loyal Foundation member. However, the clone was given a standard indoctrination, but it rebelled and proclaimed allegiance to an Afghan terrorist group. It was terminated, and questioning of the original revealed that the beliefs had been accurately copied. Addendum. Document SCP-222-13. Call for clone psychiatric sociological analysis. General maintains that cloned personnel display behavior patterns and habits that cannot be accounted for by simple amnesia. He cites a statistically significant higher incidence of mental illness, particularly homicidal tendencies, among clones when compared to original personnel. Addendum. Document SCP-222-14. Second Generation Clones. Clones may themselves be cloned, though records show that this has only been performed twice. The second generation clones were observed to have marked mental differences. Both were resistant to indoctrination, and Foundation psychiatrists returned a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. However, intelligence and mental ability were measured at equal to or greater than the original clones, or even the originals. Further investigation is warranted. Addendum. Document SCP-222-15. Clone Decks. Has called for an effort to catalogue all clones in Foundation employ and the verification of the locations of each of them, as there appears to be consistent reports that the Foundation has more personnel than is recorded. Addendum. Document SCP-222-17. Clone Approval Orders. By order of O5-2, all cloning activities must be recorded with a work order and must be approved by non-clone personnel of at least Clearance 4. Addendum. Document SCP-222-21. Clone Visual Identification. As a result of the nearly successful site takeover attempt by the clone of General, wherein all current and future clones are to be tattooed on the forehead and back of both hands with a simple C. This should negate the possibility of a clone impersonating its original for nefarious purposes.
Case file ends. Which case file do you require?
Item number SCP-226. Object Class Safe. SCP-226 is to be kept in a locked cabinet within the site Secure Item Storage Unit. Any person wishing to use SCP-226 must have approval from any personnel with at least Level 3 security clearance. SCP-226 is a cardboard box measuring roughly 30 cm by 20 cm by 4 cm. It has a lid that fits securely over the bottom half, as would any common puzzle box. The surface of the box is a deep black with the word FEAR scrawled with white ink on the upper right corner of its lid. Within the box are 1,000 cardboard puzzle pieces, each measuring roughly 2 cm in diameter, also considered SCP-226. When completed, the puzzle always forms in a rectangular shape. However, the design and order in which the pieces fit together change with use. SCP-226 aligns itself with whoever initially opens the box. When opened, the pieces change design, and the completed image will show what has been discovered to be the greatest fear of the person who it is aligned to. The image on the pieces do not change after the box has been opened. Recorded images on SCP-226 are as follows. A bloated corpse sinking underwater. a set of gallows with several nooses attached. A person screaming with hundreds of small spiders crawling out of his mouth. A darkened window with a mutilated hand scraping against it. SCP-682. A human figure completely covered in various insects such as bees or centipedes. The cross-section of a coffin buried in dirt, with a person inside slamming her fists on the inside of the lid. When completed and taken back apart, the lid of SCP-226's box will fly through the air and secure itself back on the lower half. The puzzle pieces will disappear, presumably returning back into the box. SCP-226 will then become unaligned and align itself with the next person to open the box. Additional notes. SCP-226 was first discovered by now-defunct Mobile Task Force-12 on 19. At the time, the task force was investigating reports of a possible SCP in a series of tunnels underneath a church in the city of. Due to an equipment malfunction, MTF-12 had lost communication with the surface and was stranded within the tunnels until repairs were made. The task force discovered SCP-226 on a wooden table within a stone room surrounded by several chairs. Believing it to be a simple puzzle, MTF-12 decided to open SCP-226 to pass the time. When completed, SCP-226 depicted the exact scene of MTF-12 sitting at the table working on a puzzle. However, Agent appeared to be viciously stabbing several other members of the task force with a standard issue combat knife. Puzzle was taken apart, transporting back to its box. Repairs were soon made, and MTF-12 returned to the surface. Note: regrettably, an accident en route to the surface caused the death of Agent Redacted. Right, well, that was a lot of talking. I think we've all earned a lunch break, yes? Now, D108226, I want to thank you for your help this morning. You have contributed greatly to science and the Foundation. As security officer here will see to it you are taken good care of, alright? Cheers.
Thank you for your participation in Project 82, transmitting psioanalytic data to Dr.